Okay, short history bit. From what I understand, lemmings are one of the few species of rodent that will migrate long distances to deal with overpopulation problems. Back in the day, people would see a lot of lemmings one day and very few lemmings a few days later, and they came up with this folklore, right? The common folklore that lemmings would run off a cliff and commit mass suicide because there's just too many of them. It turns out that they would just go from one place to another, and people didn't have the means to, like, say, oh, there's less lemmings here, but there's more lemmings over here. So, that bit of folklore would appear in, like, the Disney documentary White Wilderness, where the filmmakers would stage a lemming migration by, as I understand it, basically shoving a bunch of them off of a cliff. Now, the recent mayoral victory in New York got me thinking, is the average person dumber than a lemming? Because huge numbers of people seem to really love bizarre nonsense like socialism. And what is socialism but a type of mass suicide, or at least an attempt at it? Mises said that the choice between capitalism and socialism is not like a choice between milk and water. It's more like a choice between milk and cyanide. Before Mises, Frederick Bastiat lamented the ease with which people are tricked into a war of all against all, or, what he called legal plunder. People, in fact, when they get into this kind of mass suicidal mood, they actually work really, really hard to prevent others from getting away from the doom that they're impending. The Berlin Wall, the Iron Curtain. Socialists love to drag people into their insane, self-destructive crusades and hold them there with violence once they're in. I mean, Marx's whole framework for the exploitation of labor came from his inexpert cribbing of an obsolete value theory from Adam Smith. It's even worse than that because Marx basically ignored the fact that Smith and all of his contemporaries were very well aware that their theory of value had some major problems with it. In fact, the marginal revolution would happen while Marx was writing Capital, but Marx, of course, didn't take notice of it because it destroys his case. Gradually, as people tried to do some of the things, or gradually as history went on, Marx's predictions, it was made clear that Marx's predictions were worth less, even less than the value theory that he used to make them. In 1920, Mises explained, beyond a shadow of a doubt, why it is that socialism has the internal contradictions, much more so than what Marx called capitalism. The communist rebuttal to Mises was basically, a leftist meme of nuh-uh, but spanning thousands of pages of faulty logic and special pleading. The one group that actually tried to come up with something to deal with Mises' objection was the technological socialists. Build me a computer large enough, they claimed, and I can plan the economy, even without prices. However, 70 years of Moore's Law later, they still haven't produced a computer that can simulate or predict the economy, let alone plan it. If they could, there would be a lot of very rich technological socialists, and, well, there aren't. There are plenty of socialists who get rich, but not many who get rich actually through socialism. There's a few. The Castro family, Ceausescu, or however you pronounce his name, they got rich through socialism, but it didn't go so well for them. And as theory has advanced, we find that even if the technological socialists could plan the economy with a big computer, they'd still screw it up because they actually can't understand the value of entrepreneurship. Similarly to how they misinterpreted and misused the labor theory of value, they took a thought experiment, the evenly rotating economy, which is a way to pull entrepreneurship out of the economy and deal with things that are more predictable. They took that thought experiment, which is used as a tool to instruct and isolate certain ideas, and they tried to turn it into some kind of crazy ideal for mankind to strive toward. It didn't help that as the technological socialists were preaching the almighty mother brain, Friedrich Hayek popped up and kicked over all their assumptions. It became more and more obvious that the economic theory behind socialism and communism was as empty as Marx's resume. And now here we are, stuck in a world where these suicidal socialists have infiltrated practically every government in the world today, and a lot of corporations too. Their self-destructive ideas are the motivation behind many, if not most, new laws at this point. Private property lies undefended, abandoned, well, not abandoned, but expropriated, and any who would defend it are portrayed as unfeeling monsters. The barbarity of those attacking private property is totally ignored. Actually, it's encouraged when they can get away with it. Lemmings, at least, don't deliberately run to their deaths. They might try to cross a body of water that's too large or something like that, but people, specifically people, seem to love this siren song of free stuff, free stuff, free stuff so much that they're willing to run off a very well-known cliff for it. That's what I got for you for today. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.